Welcome back. The Grand Bahama Power Company appears to be on target as it attempts to re-energize areas that have been without electricity since the passing of Hurricane Matthew. Today at the weekly briefing, executives of the Grand Bahama Port Authority commended power officials for their diligence. Italia Hall reports.
It's been 34 days since the passing of Hurricane Matthew, and the Grand Bahama Port Authority is still forging ahead with its restoration efforts. As the regulator of the Grand Bahama Power Company, Vice Chairman of the GBPA, Sarah St. George, says power has been restored to 90% of customers on the island.
2 new crews from the Emera Group, Barbados Power and Light, and Domlic, which is the power utility of the island of Dominica, have also just arrived after spending the last 2 weeks in Nassau and Andros assisting BEC, or Bahamas Power and Light, with their restoration. So there are now a grand total of 7 Emera affiliates working together to restore Grand Bahama.
St. George says so far some 1,500 transformers and 1,700 poles have been restored on Grand Bahama.
Almost all areas have been energized, but parts of Bootle Bay, Holmes Rock and Dead Man's Reef have presented more problems than were initially evident.
She says West End and Old Bahama Bay are still on track to be energized on Tuesday, November 15th.
West End, as we know, experienced the worst damage to residents, homes and businesses. And as a result, it just wouldn't be safe to energize many of those without further inspection, which, unlike Freeport, does not fall under GBPA, but under the Ministry of Works.
While great progress is being made, she notes that there are instances where you may still see low-hanging lines, black cables, broken poles, or an old pole strapped to a new pole.
These are not power lines, but cable or telecommunication wires. And while the telecommunication companies are staying in touch with GBPC, they aren't always able to keep up the same pace in reattaching their cables to the new poles.
The Vice Chairman says if you see a leaning pole or damage to any equipment on a pole, you should contact the Grand Bahama Power Company and they will address the problem. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Italia. Many entities and some residents have risen to the occasion to provide some help and hope for countless persons devastated by Hurricane Matthew. Among them is an individual who has a passion for cooking and through a leading social agency has committed to sharing her gift with others. Joan Davis-Roll has more.
With the images of the trail of destruction left behind by Hurricane Matthew still a reality and fresh on the minds of many, the adverse impact the storm has had island-wide, particularly among the elderly, is a major concern. Their plight touching the heart of a woman who operates a popular cafeteria in the Harold Gregory building here in Freeport, Annette's Kitchen, Annette Roll. Early Monday morning came a labor of love as Roll donated hundreds of hot meals to Urban Renewal as a part of a major feeding initiative for our precious pearls. Deputy Director of Urban Renewal 2.0 in Grand Bahama, Michelle Reckley.
This is a testament of the Word of God. Whatever you do to the least of my brothers, that you do unto me. This morning, right here in our very own building, Harold Gregory Complex, Ms. Annette Roll, who supplies lunch and breakfast on a daily basis, decided to take today out to do over 300 breakfasts so our seniors can have a hot breakfast. You know, there are so many people sitting in their back wondering what is the government doing, when is the government going to do, but you know, this is all of our business, and if all of us do our little part, then we can come through this sooner than we think, rather than just waiting for the government to do. And you know, as a citizen of the Bahamas, this is what life should be. This is what living is all about, being able to give back, because you know, to whom much is given, much is certainly required.
Roll, who was very shy of our ZNS cameras, allowed her gift to speak for her, sending a message of love and compassion. As the meals headed out for distribution, Reckley noted that this special donation could not have come at a more opportune time. She says love is an action word, and the kind gesture was a clear demonstration of love in action. Touched and humbled by the kind gesture, she offered a hearty thank you to a woman she described as having a heart of gold. Joan Davis-Roll, ZNS Network News.
Thank you, Joan. And now it is time to ask the doctor.
I'm Dr. Monique Pratt. Welcome. Continuing the discussion on post-traumatic stress. Following a distressing event like a natural disaster or act of violence, people usually turn to drugs or alcohol to ease the symptoms. However, this only worsens the condition and brings about even more negative consequences. If you have disturbing thoughts and feelings about a traumatic event for more than a month, and they are affecting your ability to get your life back under control, it may be time to seek professional help. Treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder involves a combination of psychotherapy and medication. This can help you to regain control over your life and can teach you how to address your symptoms. Psychotherapy, or talk therapy, can be used to treat both children and adults. There are two main types. Cognitive therapy helps you to recognize and change negative ways about thinking, and exposure therapy helps to safely confront what is upsetting you so that you can learn how to cope with stressful situations effectively. These approaches can either be done through individual, group therapy, or a combination of both. Along with therapy, there are different types of medications that can also help to improve PTSD symptoms of anxiety, depression, and insomnia. If you think you may be experiencing symptoms of PTSD, don't be afraid or discouraged. Speak with your doctor to determine what is the best treatment plan for you. I'm Dr. Monique Pratt, and this has been Ask the Doctor.
Well, that's a look at what's making news tonight, but don't you go away. Ricardo Lightborn is up next, and he has a check on all the sporting highlights. Stay with us.